We're going to talk today then a little bit about theory. I hope you don't mind a little bit of theoretical discussion, because we have to get grounded foundationally in the principles that work when you're building or operating incentive plans in your organization. We'll have a little common sense mixed in, I hope. At least I think it's common sense. You'll have to decide. I'm going to give you some examples of good plans and bad plans, and hopefully so we can see the distinctions. I'm going to give you some recommendations and suggestions, along with some ideas on where do you begin with all this if you're going to reevaluate or reconstruct incentive or variable pay programs inside your company. So here's the one slide I'm going to read with you, my position. Where do I stand? Well-designed variable pay plans can be one of the most important elements of a comprehensive effort to build a unified financial vision with employees. Structured and communicated properly, these plans can reinforce the role of value creation in an organization, along with the shareholders' commitment to a financial partnership with contributors. Okay, kind of a long paragraph there, but let me break down the important parts. First of all, I believe the owners or shareholders of a business should be committed to building a unified financial vision. The company that I run is called VisionLink. That's how we came up with the name. The owners need to understand, shareholders, CEO, owners, whoever you have at the top, they need to understand they are more likely to achieve their goals by helping the employees achieve their goals. And vice versa. The employees need to understand we're more likely to achieve our personal goals if we help the owners or shareholders or CEO achieve his, hers, or theirs. Okay, that's kind of linking the visions. Building a unified financial vision is a journey, a quest that I think every organization should embark on. Are we unified? We'll talk a little bit about how we create that unification. Secondly, they have to be structured and communicated. We get called into opportunities often where the reason we're called in is explained as follows. Our bonus plans stink. Something's wrong. We're not getting the behavior we want. We're not getting the results we want. We try, we re-engineer it. Can you fix it? And often, not always, maybe not even often, sometimes we go in and we look at the bonus plan they've designed and we go, it's pretty good. I don't really have anything I would immediately notice needs fixing. We think you've got appropriate metrics, the value opportunities seem right for your industry and your market, the pieces seem to be in place, it's engineered pretty well. What's the problem? They haven't communicated it. Large companies spend as much time and resources communicating the value and opportunity behind the incentive plans as they do engineering the plans. It's harder to do the communication than the engineering. That, I think, really speaks to part of your role, doesn't it? Because all communication kind of is supposed to flow out of HR in this magical, wonderful, perfect way. With no budget, of course, and no extra personnel to help you do it. But boy, if the top of the organization can understand the value of getting the plans into the minds and the hearts of the employees, and what that does when it's done well, they jump on that. So that's part of what I'm going to give you today is the language and the concepts to help communicate that and build unity within your own leadership team to the importance of that mission. Next, value creation. The plans themselves have to reinforce how we as an organization create value. Value creation, in this case, implies creating value for our customers so that we succeed as an organization. You probably don't make money in your organization unless you do something nice for your customers, your clients, and so forth. So how do we link that value creation, the external value creation for customers, with internal economic value sharing with employees? A good incentive plan basically says, help us create value for our customers or our clients or our end users. That economic value that we create then within our business model, we've assigned some of that for you. So as you're going to see, we're not going to try and force behaviors. We're not going to try and just shoot for that immediate chipmunk kill. we're going to try and look at a bigger picture of preserving the financial and long-term value of the organization. If employees can understand that and buy into that and see how they can contribute to it, now we've got a unified financial vision for growing the business. Last piece, what the shareholders need to make from a financial perspective is they need to communicate and act and live the principle that variable pay programs are a reflection of our partnership commitment with our employees. We're partners. Business has two things to work with to grow: capital and people. If you didn't need the people, the capital could do it by itself, well, then you wouldn't hire the people, right? It's a combination of the capital and people that are going to achieve the business goals. We have to reward both. We have to recognize the contribution of each and find a way to share the value that each generates. My personal philosophy then is that an incentive plan, you do an incentive plan, why? Because it's the right thing to do. You're identifying the people that created the value, you're trying to isolate the value that was created and then share some of that with the employees. So let's go to conventional wisdom in the marketplace. Okay, everybody knows about Dan Pink's book from a few years ago, right? Most of you, who's read the book or seen the book or heard him speak? Okay, about a third or so. And he has done a very eloquent and articulate job of teaching a true principle in the marketplace. I think some of the conclusions about where to go with it are off a little bit. Let's examine this. First of all, he's demonstrated by a lot of really solid evidence, academic evidence and on-site evidence with organizations, that rewards, unless they're structured properly, they tend to narrow the focus of employees and restrict creativity and innovation. Kind of like my chipmunk example. Here's another example. Let's say we're running a manufacturing company and we make widgets, whatever a widget is, and you run a widget production line. You're a supervisor of the line, and I come to you and I say, you know, you're producing 60 widgets a week. And that's not bad, but management, we think you can do 75. And if you can produce 75 widgets a week, I'm going to pay you a $500 a week bonus. Okay, so you're the widget supervisor, the line supervisor. What kind of things are you going to start thinking about? Well, speeding up the line. You're going to maybe have to work a little overtime. You know, you're going to come up with creative solutions. What might be some of the negative consequences of that right away? Cutting corners. We're cutting corners, so we have quality issues and have more widgets returned. What else? Cost. What kind of costs? Overtime costs? Yep. How about equipment maintenance? We might spend less time maintaining the equipment. So just saying to somebody, produce 75 widgets instead of 60 can backfire. That $500 you spent is going to be added to the other costs or expenses that will be driven out of that result. There's a better approach. Let's see if we can figure out that better approach and see if we can get the 75 and preserve the rest of the issues that we're looking at maintaining. We've got to make sure that we're not limiting creativity. All we're doing is getting people to focus on the reward. This was Dan Pink's main theme. So there's nothing new here. Actually, there's a lot of other studies out there, if you read the literature, that have around for 30 years plus, confirming this reality. Rewards can distract people from what they're really inclined to do because it's saying, focus on getting the bonus. What have I got to do to get the bonus? Instead of, what can I really do to add value to the organization? Pink's point was that motivation is intrinsic. People want to do the best job possible, regardless of what you're paying them. That doesn't mean pay doesn't influence other factors over time, but people instinctively want to do the best they can, right? People aren't lazy. They want to use their talents and contribute to something meaningful in the organization. Motivation does not happen because of pay. If it does happen because of pay, usually something's wrong. Well, then, is there a role for variable pay plans? First, let me drive this principle home with one more example. Just yesterday, I was invited to our offices, our main offices here in Irvine, and I was invited to go meet with a business owner running a very successful business that's gone from $1 million in sales to $120 million in 4 years. And the owner was sitting there with his HR leader. And he wants a long-term incentive plan. And I was referred by his accountant as someone that helps build and install those. So he had a lot of questions. We went through all the discussion, and we framed a concept of a plan. And he turned to his HR manager and asked her, would this motivate you, this plan? And I thought, this is an interesting question. It's interesting to see how she responds. Now, I'm thinking for her, okay? She's thinking, well, I'd like you to do the plan because I might be in it, but if I'm honest, it's not going to motivate me. And she was honest. She said, no. Now, my reaction, because I wanted him to do the plan and pick up a new client, was, oh, no, he's going to think this isn't a good idea. So I said, good answer. And I turned to him and said, it shouldn't motivate her. Do you feel like she lacks motivation now? He said, no. So why are you interested in offering this for her and others? He said, because we're on this kind of growth track. I may be selling the business, going public within a few years, and I want to reward the people that helped me do it. Yeah, isn't that enough? Isn't it enough just to reward people who help you create the value? Does it have to be, I'm going to change their motivation, change their behavior? Does the incentive plan need to create some cultural change? I don't think so. But it can for another reason. And we'll talk about that reason, the good reason for it, in just a few minutes. Okay.